Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, gunkins and joys across our beloved empire, to today's video, where we are going to be talking about Katarn's Raven's Claw and our initial gameplay impressions. Long story short, definitely somewhere in one of the better ships we've had this year. Maybe not as good as the Thai Enchilada yet, but as it stands, kind of like I was predicting during the kit reveal, it seems like it's meant to replace the Millennium Falcon for the upcoming future. And although I was impressed with the ship as we're going to showcase today, not impressed with the drop rates, man. Ship drop rates are rough, but luckily right now it's a galactic chase event, and a lot of you guys might be pushing for this ship. You want to know how far you can get with it and what you can do with low stars. Good news is I was very impressed at 4 stars. I feel like if you have a 4-star ship, you can have a somewhat of a replacement for the Millennium Falcon. And today's testing is going to be a bit weird. I want to first thank you guys for coming out to yesterday's stream. It was a lot of fun, and it was a bit different because normally we see how does a ship elevate a particular lineup out there. However, with the kit that we have, which is very Millennium Falcon-esque, not as good as Millennium Falcon, but maybe like 70-80%. You know, it's kind of like a hamburger with ground beef. It's maybe a little bit better than a veggie patty, potentially. You know what I mean? It's a replacement, but not a perfect replacement. But also, the reason why this testing is going to be a bit odd is because we have heavy speculation, heavy insinuations from the developers that we're getting the profundity. It makes sense. We have Admiral Radis in the game. We're getting a lot of Rebel ships right now. It seems like they're preparing for the Radis, but they want to make sure the Home 1 fleet will still be able to operate to the same extent. So before we hop into gameplay here, Raven's Claw, I just want to show at max stars, 7 stars, gear 13, relic 9. It's 177 speed, which isn't the fastest. However, let's go start rolling some gameplay for you guys. This ship is actually quite fast, even at low stars. The one I want to highlight first, we're going to start with 4-star gameplay here. Impressed. It did its job. Was a somewhat Millennium Falcon replacement. Was fast. It was able to get some good stuff for the team. And funny enough, it was quite durable because it's increasing its max health based on non-Scandroid Rebel allies out there. Another reason why we tried staying away from Millennium Falcon, because it doesn't synergize well with Millennium Falcon, but Millennium Falcon does have synergy with this ship by calling it to the assist. So you could use Millennium Falcon. I just want to say that, but just look at this as a hypothetical situation here. But if you're going to get this ship at 4 stars, luckily Cantina Energy is one of the more popular places to farm because you're farming relics, characters, all that stuff. Good chance you're probably gonna have a 4-star unit by the time this galactic chase ends, and you will be able to use this to beat, for example, Negotiator. Malevolence feels like you need higher stars to go after them, and it's 4 stars wasn't really great up against Executor lineups out there. But if you can still beat a Negotiator without Millennium Falcon at 4 stars, I mean, that's kind of solid there for the most part. It's still not as good. Millennium Falcon makes those Negotiator battles a lot faster. Definitely feels like it takes a little bit longer with the ship, but again, it's not a legendary. It doesn't require 2 legendary characters, semi-legendary for Han, to get a legendary ship out there. So let's go talk about what I really liked about this ship here. And again, I do want to preface this gameplay and review is kind of assuming we won't use Millennium Falcon with the Rebels Home 1 anymore down the road, but with that logic, who knows, maybe Miss Biston will be stolen for Admiral Radis's profundity as well. So there's a lot of assumptions here, but just gotta roll with it for now. Let's just it's a little bit of speculation on where the future is leading here. But just the fact we could show 4-star non-Millennium Falcon gameplay beating a lot of these fleets, I'd say that's pretty impressive. The first thing of note that's really important is the Foresight capabilities of the ship. It can get Foresight spreading around to your non-Scandroid Rebel shipmates here. And the cool thing is about this, when you got Foresight on these Rebel ships, you're able to ignore taunt effects. Part number 1 with Millennium Falcon, it was a way to kind of bust through tanks to work around. Well, you can work around tanks if you have Foresight on them. Now, do know if you do attack a non-tank unit that's not taunting, you're gonna lose the Foresight, but you're gonna get offense up in return. So you still have ways to navigate around the tanks, or else it would have been really darn annoying. But furthermore, Raven's Claw on the basic ability, similar to Han's Millennium Falcon, not as good though. It does have a buff to spell if they have Foresight. So Foresight is a very core mechanic of this fleet, it seems like, moving forward for the Home 1. So that's something working in his favor. Another thing that was quite nice is that it's Out of the Sun special ability. I got some problems because it could be resisted, but for example, it was nice when, you know, you see Houndstooth, you try to land daze on him early on. Hey, you can't complain about that when it does, like, and it's got lots of turn meter removal. Again, some pretty neat stuff happening with this ship here. But I kind of want to talk about some other stuff because there's ways to, for example, to get target lock. If they have Foresight at the start of their turn, the Raven's Claw that is, you're getting random target locks, which is kind of a core mechanic of a lot of these ships. Like, you need target lock for Biggs to call in the opening assist. So that's going to be nice. And the reason why it seems like this ship will not be needed for Profunity's fleet, maybe it'll be required to unlock Profundity. That's a different story, but there's just way too many callouts for a home one. And you wouldn't be doing that if you don't plan on releasing another Rebel ship. Down there, again, another indication Profundity's probably coming sometime around the corner here. But the cool thing about this is, whenever an enemy is inflicted a target lock, and as I said, it inflicts target lock randomly, it's going to get the Foresight on it. And as you already said, when it's got Foresight, it's got the 50 speed, the ability to ignore taunts, to buff the spell. So it didn't feel too complicated to keep the Foresight on, especially if you had a taunt in the way. Now, if there's people spamming lots of AoEs like Executors, it's a little bit tricky to keep that Foresight on. But as long as you got that Foresight on, you're going to be pulling some very nice plays throughout the course of the battle here. And we didn't even talk about battle flow meditation all that much. We already alluded to it a little bit. One of the reasons why it works at low stars and why I'm a fan of it, I like when things work at low stars because you're probably not going to have a 7-star unit. And it's nice to know you only can go up from 4 to 7 stars, but you can still get a lot of benefit at 4 stars, or normally you got to at least get like 5 stars, like the Thai enchilada or something like that. But anyways, when you're starting to battle, when you're reinforcing, the Raven's Claw is getting 40% max health for the rest of the battle. Whew. And I do believe, I'll have to triple check, I believe that also counts Admiral Akbar's fleet because it's a Rebel ship. And then likely you're going to start off with Biggs and Biston right there off the get-go. You're roughly getting 120% max health. And as you're bringing in more Rebel units, it gets more and more durable. So that's one of the reasons why it works at low stars, whereas things like, for example, I don't know, the 3-star bomber for the Resistance, it was pitiful at low stars. Whether it was a 3-4 stars, whatever it wasn't a very impressive ship at low stars. But this, you can make it work because it gets quite durable over this course of the rest of the battle here. And this is extremely important. Han was really important to get lots of damage out there. You're going to be providing non-Scandroid allies 10% offense, but it's going to go up even more. Obviously, if Home One's the capital ship you're running, you're going to get 30% offense on the ships instead, and that's where the damage is coming from because the philosophy of the Rebels is big opening plays with Biston, Biggs, and either Han's Millennium Falcon or the Raven's Claw in this situation. That's how you're able to work around these negotiators. Like, you're able to get Anakin into the yellow, hit the unending loyalty, Kenobi doesn't do the days then, and get some big plays rolling as a result here. The one part that maybe I'm underestimating it a little bit, defense up is kind of a part of the equation here. You're able to get random non-Scandroid Rebel allies defense up, which, you know, maybe contributes to the durability of the Raven's Claw at lower stars here. And then we have some 7-star gameplay we're going to roll for you. Again, you know, with the 7-star gameplay, still can beat negotiators even more easier than before. And beat the Malevolences. The Interceptor's a bit challenging to beat. I feel like it's more, I mean, even the Millennium Falcon could struggle up against Interceptor, but sometimes I felt like I had better chances with beating Interceptors with Millennium Falcon, but you can check the rest of this out here. But with the defense up, when an ally without defense up is damaged by an enemy attack, you're inflicting defense down, which seems minor, but maybe in the grand scheme of things, defense down is more effective inside of Fleet Arena than it would be in the character meta out there. So again, ways to get damage out there. And the last thing I want to talk about in regards to the ship is the reinforcement ability. This is one reason why I think I'm a fan of it at 4 stars, because a lot of ships, you need to have 5 stars in order to max out the reinforcement ability, right? Like the Thai enchilada, for example. You need really the 5 stars to really get the full package that amazing ship has to offer from this earlier part of the year. Raven's Claw's reinforced ability, you know, when you bring it in, it gets critical damage up, stealth for 2 turns, and only a vulnerability on the target enemy. It's pretty lackluster, and I think that's intentional because you don't have to decide on the trade-off. You want this ship. If it's going to be replacing Falcon to start off, you want to get the offense increases and all these other things. If we do suspect Millennium Falcon will be stolen away by the Profundity here, so I wasn't really a fan of the reinforcement. We tried it a few times, and the other problem is if you do put it in reinforcements, it's not better than Cassian. You're going to want to bring in Cassian. Cassian's usually a first reinforcement unit. Rebel Y-Wing, first or second reinforcement unit. If you're bringing in this ship, it's probably going to be a 3rd or maybe 4th reinforcement inside the team, which means either the battle's going wrong, you're about to lose. Rebels usually don't need more than 2 reinforcements. Cassian Y-Wing is kind of all that you need. So just with all these elements combined, I find it very, very unlikely that the ship is meant to be a reinforcement. And I find it unlikely that Millennium Falcon's going to be in this Home 1 fleet for much longer. Again, we don't know when that future of Admiral Radis's profundity is going to come in. We might not even have some of these ships because, again, the core units of the ships was Falcon, Biggs, and Biston. What if Biggs and Biston get stolen for profundity? This might be a little bit different of a story. So lots of assumptions made in this video, but overall, just with what we have, it's a good 70% or so replacement for the Falcon, but there's simply one thing it just can't quite do as well as the Falcon, and that's getting more assists, more buff dispel basics on Han's Millennium Falcon, and thirdly, the most important thing, this is why it's not a perfect replacement, Millennium Falcon has the passive cleanse, which is kind of important and pretty big, where when you have 3 debuffs on you, it automatically cleanses right away. So if you had Breach, I don't know, Target Lock, buff immunity on Biggs, it would go away. And that's why it feels a little trickier than usual trying to beat, for example, Malevolence. You could still beat Malevolence without the Millennium Falcon when you have the Raven's Claw. However, you know, when you have the Buzz Droids and the buff immunity and Target Lock, it just stays there. You want ways to get rid of those Buzz Droids as fast as possible, and that's where the Falcon would come in handy. And then lastly, let's talk about the Exactor. The Rebels, in case you didn't know, the triple attacker lineup for Exactor, which is Razor Crest, Xanadu Blood, IG-88 ship. Rebels could beat that particular lineup. Now, I don't think the Raven's Claw is going to be a good replacement there potentially. I mean, you're able to kind of make work happen still. You're able to get some decent opening plays when it's at 7 stars, get rid of IG-88, try to get rid of Xanadu Blood. So you can still pick apart the fleet. I don't think it's going to be better than the Millennium Falcon if we had to replace it. Now, will there maybe, for example, Millennium Falcon is not going away, and they'll both be together still. You know, there's some really good synergy. Still, not so much with Raven's Claw going to Millennium Falcon, but Millennium Falcon going to Raven's Claw. If you can get Millennium Falcon to call in Raven's Claw for the assist, it's not that bad. So pretty cool stuff in regards to the ship. The Kyber Club, out of 4 yesterday, we opened up a little poll. People who came out to watch, they gave it a 3 out of 4. It's kind of where I'm sitting right now as well. It's a good ship. I don't think it's the best ship this year. The TIE Echelon and the TIE Interceptor were by far the best ships this year. But I think this is maybe somewhere below them, somewhere in the class of another recent Rebel ship that came to the game, the Outrider. And that was a ship that looked like it can kind of replace Biston. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. And I just want to put this out there. Again, speculation. The download thing, the data transmission really makes it sound like it's supposed to be tied to profundity. So my suspicion is Outrider, even though you don't need it for Rebel fleets, for a Home 1 right now, it could be used. It feels like there's a different fleet coming. I think this is going to be used in profundity. I also think Millennium Falcon will go over to the profundity at some point. The question is, what's going to be left over for Home 1 if that is going to happen? And will they still be able to be at least Negotiator Malevolence competitive is the most important question. So that's going to wrap it up for now. I think it's a good base level starting level. You know, we'll do some more testing. Maybe there's some cooler things to do, but I wanted to put this video out there so you know how hard to push for this ship during this chase. And the good news is you guys are already doing a lot of Cantina farming stuff out there. So it's a win-win situation, but we're going to get a lot of use out of 4 stars, I think, right now. And who knows? Maybe we could take Millennium Falcon right now and put it as a reinforcement for like Negotiator or something like that, like it used to be way back in the day. Anyways, I'm going to stop myself there. I appreciate you guys coming out to the live streams. It was a ton of fun. As usual, it's nice when we get good units to test out. Leave a like, comment down below, subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And as always, remember, although Rebels are getting love, it's great to be in the Empire today.
You mean everything. You can lie.